What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be reacting to how Stray Kids changed K-pop forever. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Kids are heavily praised for the signature sound, but when they first debuted, that same sound nearly brought the group down. Yet just a few years later, Changbin would make a bold call that completely changed not just their future, but the whole industry. From the very beginning, Stray Kids have been aiming to be different. They didn't want to make music people had already heard. Their music is meant to represent that stray aspect that each of them embody. You see, back in 2018, most K-pop groups were putting out bright, cheerful songs with some EDM mixed in. A lot of debuts leaned on safe, upbeat tracks that felt polished and easy to listen to. Twice, JYP's biggest success at the time was thriving with songs like What Is Love that leaned into sweetness and vocal-driven hooks.
Wait, chat. Was Twice the group who went to North Korea? Do you remember we watched the video where they were performing? Was it Twice or was it like something? I don't remember. Like was it something? No, that was Red Velvet. Yeah. That was Red Velvet. Yeah. 100%.
It's like the boys were debuting with high energy, danceable tracks, but still sticking to a clean vocal sound. So when Stray Kids came out with a debut as aggressive as District 9, people were confused, to put it simply. It wasn't just that the sound was louder, it was that the tone of the song was angsty, confrontational, and otherwise messy. It clashed against the glittery and optimistic vibe people expected from new groups. Even 80s, who would later be known for their hard-hitting music.
Wait, is that how you pronounce it? 80s? 80s or 80s, chat?
Debuted later that same year with Pirate King, which was strong, but still leaned more into theatrical EDM than raw rap. That's what made Stray Kids' choice so jarring. Twice had just established JYP Entertainment as a
American,
bright, lovable company, so it seemed almost silly for Stray Kids to not begin with a similar cheery sound. In fact, most of 4th Gen's earliest groups debuted with this bubbly feel because it was seen as a guaranteed way to build a fanbase. The difference here is that Stray Kids weren't trying to be unique just for the sake of it. 3RACHA wanted their songs to catch your attention and pull you in through something people weren't used to: honesty. While that might sound simple enough, honest music was surprisingly hard to find in K-pop. Really, the only themes you got in company-made K-pop was either love or self-confidence. That was it. Not many groups made their own music, so it makes sense that they wouldn't be singing the things they wanted to. This is part of what set Stray Kids aside as their own thing. 3RACHA writes them.
But yeah, chat, but I got a question though, chat. My question is that because K-pop, or majority of K-pop are backed by big companies, because there's so much money behind them, does their music is it even personal? You know what I mean? Because it has to be like popular, it has to be formulaic, it has to, you know what I mean? Because a lot of the critique that I've heard from, I've been showing a lot of, like, you know, the playlist that we made together to my friends, and they'd be saying, yeah, this is so formulaic, or they're just following American trends. Some groups have a say, but mostly it's a concept. Don't hate me, it's true. Most are, but not everyone. No shame in that. Yeah, no shame in that, bro. You know, go make your money, man.
With JYP Entertainment giving them quite a lot of freedom to say the things that need to be said. Their debut track, District 9, embraced that honesty. Hyunjin raps, "Honestly, I don't know who I am. It's frustrating. It always worries me." This sort of self-analysis was practically unheard of for a title track at the time. Stray Kids wished to change the standards in K-pop, and District 9 highlighted just that. Normally, debut songs were designed to project confidence. Stray Kids didn't really do that. Instead, they came out with doubts and insecurities and put those feelings front and center. In a scene where love songs and generic "believe in yourself" messages dominated, hearing Hyunjin admit that he doesn't even know who he is was almost jarring. That's part of what made the group feel different. Fans weren't just seeing another polished rookie act delivering lyrics someone else had written. They were seeing 9 people who were wrestling with their own identities.
I mean, if you look at the credits, you'll know if they wrote some in their songs. Yeah, I kind of agree, but like I feel like majority of the songs are written by big writers, and a lot of writers, like thousands of writers, like to make the most formulaic, most poppy, like that can bring a lot of audiences. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, right? Usually they have more freedom a few years in their career, and then after that it's just closed down. They don't have any freedom after that. I mean, like when it comes to like songwriting, or they go solo
and choosing to put that struggle into their debut. You can imagine how unusual that was in 2018. Honesty in K-pop wasn't common at the time, especially in title tracks meant to set the tone for an entire group's career. A few older groups, like BTS, with songs such as No More Dream or No, had dabbled in themes of frustration, but it still wasn't the industry standard. By the late 2010s, the default formula was love, heartbreak, or vague empowerment. Stray Kids were stepping into territory that wasn't expected from a rookie group, and because they were writing it themselves, it didn't feel manufactured. It felt personal. That self-reflective honesty became their hook. International fans in particular gravitated toward it because even if you didn't understand
Nowadays, when looking for trainees, they try to look for producers, writers, and choreographers. That's fire, man. That's fire. That's fire. I feel like you have to bring something to the group, right? That's like if you can sing, then like if you can sing really well, then you don't really need to know because other things can be trained. You know what I mean? Like writing and like the dancing, but you know what I mean. You have to bring at least something to the group.
Korean, you could feel the raw energy and urgency in their delivery. It was less about the language and more about the emotion. That connection would become one of Stray Kids' biggest strengths. Audiences weren't just hearing a debut, they were hearing 9 young men tell the truth about their lives. The expectations for K-pop in 2018 were still rather confining. The introduction video for I Am Not features Bangshan talking
But no shame, sometimes I feel it's better for them to be manufactured.
about their different sound, even calling it their own weapon.
Not
It's
everyone,
full
not everyone is a good songwriter. That's okay. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a team effort. It's great to be ace, but great teamwork is what truly makes a group be loved. 100%. I feel like that's why the 17 or Stray Kids or like BTS work a lot because they all of them come together as a group. You know what I mean? That's why I kind of at least like join them. Like seeing them together and like having each other's backs makes it much more kind of like a special thing. Other like if everyone was like more selfish or like you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, man.
of honesty and is music that can break any system, so we will break it with honesty. What's especially interesting is that the K-pop industry was so restricting at the time, and because of that, he's quick to follow up his statement with a question to his staff.
이런 거 해도 되나요?
Can I say that?
Shit.
It's a shallow question. He's either allowed to be honest or he's not. For a lot of groups, that answer would be no. They weren't allowed to provide that honesty about their music, let alone themselves. They weren't allowed to be human. Just by being honest in their songs, they became something new. They went astray from the system and the expectations people had for
So that's why they're called Stray Kids. Okay.
K-pop. The intro song totally encapsulates this feeling.
They expect perfection.
In 2018, there was a huge lack of honesty, but when it was finally presented to the general market, they found it unusual. The strong rap and punk rock sound of their debut track unsettled people. Probably one of the most memorable noises in the song is the siren that sounds throughout it. It's odd. It's conflicting. Why would you want to put something that's otherwise annoying in your song? It just doesn't make sense. Except, it did. It worked perfectly for not only the song, but also for Stray Kids. It was a sound they believed suited their escape from inauthenticity. Immediately from their debut, 3RACHA had the goal to become a group known for not just releasing great songs, but being great at making them. While 3RACHA's existence before Stray Kids helped them practice, they also wrote music for the sake of creating. It showed that they were already making music on their own terms. They weren't waiting for a company to give them songs. They were already writing about their experiences.
Nah, that's fire. That's fire. You know what I mean? The fact that they're actually making their own songs is actually good, man. I remember this in the guide that how they were helping each other like make music. That's fire.
The pressure as trainees and their ambition for the world, even before very many people were listening. When Stray Kids debuted, the style wasn't left behind. As a matter of fact, I believe it's because of 3RACHA's origin that Stray Kids ever did challenge the system. 3RACHA created a new expectation. Idols were not just supposed to sing and dance anymore. If Stray Kids could write and produce their own music, then suddenly the standard for everyone else started to change. You couldn't call them just company made because they were the ones building the songs themselves, and that shift was massive. Back in 2018, self-production in K-pop wasn't unheard of, but it was still rare. Big Bang had G-Dragon, with BTS having their own production trio, but those were exceptions, not the rule Dragon, with BTS
It's J-Hope, RM, and Suga.
having their own production trio, but those were exceptions, not the rule. The vast majority of groups had entire teams of in-house composers who handed idols a finished product to perform. The idol's job was to perfect the delivery, not to question the message. That's why 3RACHA's role inside Stray Kids mattered so much. Bangchan, Changbin, and Han weren't just messing around on the side, they were leading the group's entire musical direction. For JYP Entertainment to give rookies that level of creative control was a huge gamble. Labels usually wanted consistency and predictability, and handing the sound of a new group to 3 18 or so year olds was risky. But that gamble paid off, because Stray Kids weren't just another JYP act, they were quickly recognized as something else entirely, a group that didn't just sing what they were told, but one that built their songs from the ground up. And that difference is exactly what fans latched onto. They could hear the perspective of ex-trainees who had just fought their way through a survival show, and they could feel the ambition of people writing about their own lives instead of reciting a script. That's also why other groups and fans started paying attention. If Stray Kids could debut with their own songs and find success, then what excuse did other companies have for holding their artists back? It raised the bar for what idol meant. From then on, it wasn't enough to just perform perfectly. Authenticity suddenly mattered too. Listeners could feel the difference. They were hearing the members' own frustrations, struggles, and thoughts. That made the connection much stronger. People were listening to something real. Stray Kids actually challenged what K-pop was so much that they're considered.
So wait. This is how they basically, like, because they came in with this new perspective of like actually doing most of the things themselves and like writing the lyrics. They challenged the status quo. This is how they changed K-pop. If it wasn't done to the extent that they're doing it before, then that's actually good, man. Because I feel like that opens a lot of doors for other like groups, new groups, to like actually do, like, you know what I mean, the work of like making sure that the fans actually can relate to, instead of being written by a majority of writers who like know nothing about the what's going on with young teens today. You know what I mean? That's cool, man. I mean, their pre-debut song is called Elevator. I think it sets quite a tone.
Be one of the first groups of fourth generation. What's interesting is that generations in K-pop aren't set year periods. It's not just, 2000 to 2005 is first gen, and 2005 to 2010 is second gen. Rather, generations are split up by noticeable changes in the industry. First gen K-pop was aimed mostly at domestic audiences in Korea, but as platforms like YouTube and Facebook emerged, international fans started discovering the music, and in turn, it shifted and defined second gen. By third gen, the global audience was being directly catered to. Groups were built with international fans in mind, and massive fan armies began to dominate the industry. Then came fourth gen, where the sound of K-pop itself shifted, becoming louder, more intense, and more hyped up than ever before. With each change, there was strong pushback from current fans. With Stray Kids being one of the groups to begin 4th gen, they faced a lot of critics that, apparently, knew what was right and wrong for K-pop. Mirror was Stray Kids' most successful song early in their career. Not only was it their first song to win first place on a music program, but it also got people talking. At the time of its release, it was weird, and arguably it still is. The song is loaded up with sound effects, like police sirens, car horns, eagle screeches, and many more noises. While they all suit the theme of the song, people were quick to criticize it because of its loud nature.
Wait, is this the song where they're like asking for a revolution? Wait, chat, have I listened to this song before?
And otherwise obnoxious use of sound effects, people considered Stray Kids to be noise music. Instead of changing their approach, they doubled down on it and continued to produce the honest and real music that they wanted to make. Side Effects discusses the worry that comes with being an idol. Easily the biggest draw of the song.
K-pop was already pretty loud before, though. It's not new. It's not. Myro is a fire song. I don't think you did, but it's fire. Oh, okay.
Song is the chorus. The actual members don't play a huge role in the song, actually leaving it up to the instrumentation and robotic voice. The song was overwhelming. Listeners still felt that Stray Kids was nothing more than noise music. Except the group didn't care. They knew what they were doing was changing the industry, and the people that understand their approach best will be the ones that follow them. It's as Bang Chan said, their music, especially their honesty, is their weapon, and that very weapon is breaking the system like he predicted. In 2020, Stray Kids released God's Menu. What makes this even more noteworthy is that it wasn't originally chosen as the title track. Jongbin had just written a new song, now known as God's Menu. All of the members loved it and thought it'd be perfect for the album, leading them to take it straight to JYP, even though it was way past deciding the final title track. That bold call completely altered the course of the group. 5 years later, God's Menu still stands as one of the group's loudest and boldest.
Wait. Is God Menu in their first album? Myro is one of the songs that really got me into Stray Kids. I remember he reacted to District 9, not Myro. Oh, okay.
Tracks. The fact that it made such a lasting impact is incredibly impressive. It's noisy, it's annoying, but it's also addictive. Sriracha took that criticism and turned it into defining a feature of their band. IN once described the song as something powerful that isn't common in K-pop, and he's completely right. By sticking to the sound that they wanted to hear and not chasing trends, Stray Kids reshaped the norms of the genre. Before God's Menu, they were still searching for what their identity was supposed to be. The backlash they faced from people afraid of change is exactly what guided them. Stray Kids took the criticism and made it their full identity. Other groups saw the success Stray Kids were having and were quick to adjust and adapt the noise into their own music. What people once considered to be a poorly made song had become something people craved. As they refined their music, they began referring to it as their mala sound. If you've ever had mala hot pot, you'll know it's not a comfortable meal. It's numbing, fiery, and overwhelming, but at the same time, you keep going back for more. That's exactly the kind of effect Stray Kids wanted their music to have. Intense, chaotic, maybe even a little too much at first, but addictive once you've tried it. The characteristics of this
Look at IN, man, stuffing his face, you know what I mean? I feel like Musa did react to Myro, but I don't know. God's Menu is on their first full album. Oh, okay.
Sound were clear, loud, percussive production, pulling from trap, EDM, and even rock. Sudden beat switches and constant energy shifts that kept you listening. On paper, it looked messy, but Stray Kids turned that chaos into their signature flavor. Audiences were listening to more than just songs. They were listening to the music Stray Kids worked so hard to get right. The mala taste gave the group a clear identity in an industry where so many groups risked blending together. You could hear a track and immediately recognize it as theirs. It's this very unique sound that has helped them stay relevant for so long. What critics once brushed off as too noisy or just rap became validated. If you've been enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I love to make videos about Stray Kids, and we'd love to have you here. Stray Kids prove that aggressive
Subscribe if you want more reactions.
rap-heavy production could not only sell albums, but dominate charts. Songs like God's Menu and Thunderous forced the industry to recognize that noise wasn't just a gimmick, but also a legitimate style of K-pop. Stray Kids' disruption didn't stop at sound though. The industry itself began to shift. Stray Kids set a new standard for idol self-production, showing that groups could, and maybe even should, take ownership of their own music. Sriracha wasn't just writing filler tracks, they were also producing title tracks that defined eras. And once fans saw how much authenticity that brought, the expectation for other idols started to change. Branding played a major role in this shift. By labeling their identity as mala taste, Stray Kids built a genre within a genre. Other groups began experimenting with the same kind of noisy intensity.
Chat. I'm sorry, this is like way off topic, but I want to have some like chat. Should we do Korean food mukbang, because that looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie, chat. Should we do a stream where we're like eating like Korean mukbang, chat? Because I am so hungry right now. I haven't had dinner yet, and that food looks amazing, man. I think they didn't create a new genre.
Chasing after the same addictive chaos. What was once unique to Stray Kids started showing up everywhere, because suddenly it was seen as the new cool. But even as their influence spread, Stray Kids held on to control their own direction. Sriracha never stopped steering the music, which meant their identity stayed consistent even while the rest of the industry shifted around them. That consistency forced people to rethink what it meant to be an idol. Before, it was enough to perfect choreography and deliver vocals. Songwriting was extra, but not expected. Stray Kids flipped that. They showed that authenticity could be just as valuable as perfection, and that idols taking ownership of their music was something that could define an entire generation. Their stages reflected the same mindset. Choreography for tracks like
Wait a minute, what is
as valuable as perfection did. Stray Kids flipped that and deliver vocals. Songwriting was extra, but not expected. Stray Kids flipped that. They showed that authenticity could be just as valuable as perfection.
I understand what he means.
Idols taking ownership of their music was something that could define an entire generation. Their stages reflected the same mindset. Choreography for tracks like Thunderous or Maniac wasn't there just to look clean. It was built to match the chaos of the music. Each performance felt like the sound brought to life. Of course, this approach came with risk. The noise music label followed them for years, and there were moments of doubt, but instead of pulling back, they kept it up. They trusted that their honesty and boldness weren't weaknesses to be fixed, but strengths that would carry them forward. In doing so, they didn't just succeed inside the system, they shattered it, something they once dreamed of doing.
Look at this, man. I'm literally watching a video about them, you know what I mean? Not only did they shatter, but now they have my attention, you know what I mean? And that's Yeah, man, that's amazing, chap. That's amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
They proved
No Diddy.
that idols could be the artists of their own sound, and that chaos, when done with intent, could be just as impactful as perfection. Looking back, it really wasn't an easy goal for them. With how ambitious they were, they consistently felt resistance from the industry, from critics, and even sometimes doubt inside the group. But Stray Kids never let go of their vision. They proved that honesty and boldness weren't flaws to hide, but they were strengths that could redefine and change what people understood K-pop to be. If you want to see what Stray Kids World Tour was really like, you can click the video on
Yeah,
screen.
nah, that's. Thank you guys so much for watching the videos. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.